Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Horrified is a perfect game for what it is. It is a simplistic game. It is super easy to learn and teach. It presents a wonderful look on the table. It offers up a great sense of fun for the players. And in my opinion, it is the gold standard for gateway games. This is the game that I turn to for when I want to introduce people to modern board games. This is the game that I buy for the most people. I've probably purchased this game 5 different times for family members and friends and people who have expressed interest of wanting to go down that rabbit hole into modern board gaming. This game completely hits it out of the park, and everything about it is awesome. So let's take a little look at this. The game is from Ravensburger, and they have just done a fantastic job in this line, Prospero Hall and Ravensburger, I should say. And I think as fans of hobby board games, it's really important to recognize how the industry has changed over the last about 15 years or so, really. The fact that a game of this quality can be purchased in places like Target or Walmart is pretty amazing. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, us older people in the hobby, it was much more of a challenge to find good games, especially in the mass market realm. We had huge aisles at Toys R Us full of games, and like 2 of them were any good. And now you can go to just about any store that carries games and toys, and you can find really high quality games like this. So Horrified, 1 to 5 players. This is a co-op game, and this is A City Screams in Terror, a cooperative game against the world's most famous monsters. The village is under attack. Dracula, the mummy, Frankenstein's monster, his bride, and more are on the rampage, and your team of heroes must defeat them. Each monster offers an entirely unique challenge, and players can adjust the difficulty by playing against a new group of adversaries every game. Overcome them all before the horror overwhelms you. So for those of you who watched my masterclass series on Warhammer Quest Silver Tower, you will remember that one of the things I liked about that game is just the experience of opening the box, of being invited into that game's world. And Horrified does that expertly as well. When you first open up your box, you're going to be greeted with the board, but the board has a really cool thing printed on the back, and I absolutely love this. It's this kind of attention to detail that makes me know that the experience I am about to partake in will be a good one. And this says, we feel it would be a little unkind to present this game without just a word of friendly warning. You are about to unfold one of the strangest tales ever told. We think it will thrill you, it may shock you, it might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to, well, we warned you. I love this. It looks like text from an old silent movie. It fits with the theme so well, and that is one of the things that is so good about this movie, this game, is its theming. It's based on these classic movies and these classic movie monsters that so many people remember fondly, that so many people love. And so this is the board, and the board folds out to a nice size. I really do like the look of this board. The colors pop. I think this game looks fantastic on the table. And here we have our village with our different spaces here. We have a terror track that you are going to keep track of things, and all of these different spaces will come into play in the game. Some will get changed depending on the monster that you play. And here we have our instructions. This is a very, very well written manual here. I had absolutely no problems learning the game. You can learn the game in a matter of minutes. You can teach it very quickly. I've taught this game to people who have not played any modern board games, people like my parents, and they even had a really good time playing it. And I'm sure the theme had a lot to do with that. But it's such an easy game to learn. It's an easy game to learn, even if you're just getting into the hobby and you don't know all the terms, you don't know the verbs, you don't know the jargon of modern board games. Horrified does a great job of getting you into that. And one of the things I like most about the game also is the way that you can tailor the difficulty for each time you play, for each group you want to play with. Because what you're going to be doing in the game is each of the players is going to be taking on the role of a hero who is going to be out there trying to stop the monsters. You can be an archaeologist, or perhaps a mayor, a courier, a scientist, an inspector, a professor, or an explorer. Each one of these heroes will have a certain number of actions that they can take, and each one of these heroes will have a starting location and a special ability that makes them a little different from the other characters. The mayor, her special ability is she just gets 5 actions. So she doesn't have any other special ability, but she gets more actions than anybody else. And those characters are going to be represented by different kinds of standees here. So you have the main standees for your heroes here. They are going to have different color bases. The cardboard is super high quality. The component quality in this game is really off the charts. I love it. You also have a bunch of standees for different villagers, and these villagers will often need to be escorted back to other locations before they die. And if too many of them die, that's kind of like one of the ways you can lose the game. This standee here is to keep track of your terror level. And then you also get miniatures for the monsters. I do wish that they would have just included cardboard standees for these, because I would have rather have seen these depicted in the art that is used on all the other standees, because I think the art in this game is really well done. And I think the art is better than the sculpts for the minis. If I had one complaint about this game, it would be the plastic that is included. It's okay. It's not great, but it is okay. Sometimes you have to keep track of monsters that have this fury, I believe it's called, where they can like get powered up or something like that. But then you also have a couple decks of cards here. And you have this deck of cards here, and you have a couple player aids. This game comes with a lot of good player aids to help you along your journey in learning the game and remembering the game from game to game. But at the beginning of the game, after your players have selected their heroes, then you are going to select a number of monsters to play against. And this is how you dictate the difficulty. And it's just such a great way to scale the difficulty of the game. If you want an easy game, you're just going to play against one monster. That'll be super easy. I don't think you'd have to really try, I think, to lose against one monster. A standard game might be against 2 monsters. Want to up the ante? Go ahead and fight against 3 monsters, maybe 4. I don't know how far you can go. I don't know how many, what's the most anybody has ever won against, but there are a number of different monsters to choose from. So we have the Wolfman, we have Frankenstein's monster and the Bride, we have the Invisible Man, we have Dracula, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and the Mummy. And each one of these monsters has a little mini game that you will be playing in order to defeat that monster. And each one feels a little different. So here, at the laboratory, we're going to place these blue items on spots below that matches the item's strength. If all the spots are filled, take the cure to cure the Wolfman. And so at its core, the game is a cooperative game, and it is a set collection and pick up and deliver game, because you're going to have this bag here, and this bag is filled with all kinds of tokens that represent different kinds of items. And these are going to be scattered around the map at different locations, and your characters will have to go and they will have to pick them up and put them together in different sets. Sometimes you will be looking for a set of 3 different colors. Sometimes you will be looking at a set of all one color. Sometimes you will be looking at a particular strength of the item. The items themselves don't really do anything, so there's not really a difference between a torch and a silver cane, but it depends on what you need each item for in terms of the monsters that you are fighting. So the Wolfman, you're looking for these blue items, things like anatomy text and maybe a monocane mixture, or maybe an experiment. So it's a little thematic there. The blue items are kind of like science items. The red items are kind of like weapons, and the yellow items are kind of like well, what are the yellow items? I don't know. There's kind of like a random assortment of occult items and some mundane items. But you can fight against the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, and the Bride. You have to keep track of, in Frankenstein's space, use yellow items, or in the Bride space, use blue items. Increase the monster's humanity by the item's strength, and move the monster that many spaces. So you're trying to introduce their humanity back to them. That's really cool. The Invisible Man here. The invisible man, you kind of have to track down, and you never know kind of where he is. So there's a little bit of an investigation involved with with the Invisible Man. Dracula will have these coffins that are going to be put out on the map, and then you have to take a set of red items of weapons with a strength of 6 or more, and you have to go and you have to destroy his coffins, and to find where Dracula is resting, and destroy Dracula by taking it to his coffins, taking the fight to him. The creature from the Black Lagoon, there's going to be a boat, and depending on the color of the item, you're going to be moving through the swamp here, through the Black Lagoon, until you can finally reach the creature's lair and do battle with the creature there. And then the Mummy is going to have these different artifacts that you have to slot in these spaces in order to fight him. So really cool use of components. Some of the spaces on the board you will cover up with different kinds. You might have a camp there that will change depending on if you're playing against the the creature. Maybe if you're playing against the Invisible Man, you will cover up the precinct spot with this marker to give you a certain extra thing that you can do. Frankenstein and his Bride will come with these humanity dials, and you will use those on their cards. And then we have our a little baggie for our tokens that are used when you're fighting the Mummy. And then this, I believe, is for the Wolfman. And then you have 2 different decks of cards. I forgot exactly. So you have the monster cards and the perk cards. So the perk cards are special abilities that your investigators can get. And these will be things that you can do to help break the rules and to help your play a little easier. And then when it is the monster's turn, you will draw a card from the monster deck. And that will tell you how the monster moves. It will tell you if the monster gains fury or not. What is it called? Is it called fury? Frenzy. Frenzy. So sometimes the monsters will get kind of like fired up and go into a kind of a berserker stage. But there are different things, different ways to dictate how the monsters are going to move around the map and what they are going to do. And again, you do get some really handy cards here to player aids that will go walk you through your hero phase and all of the different actions you can take. Very easy. And then your monster phase. And then you also get an icon legend there to let you know. And then also on the back of each one of the monster cards, you have a whole a monster setup that tells you exactly how to set up each monster. And this is really cool. So if you are playing the Mummy, the rules for the Mummy aren't on the back of the Mummy. The rules for the Mummy are on the back of every other card as well. So you don't have to keep flipping that over. Super well thought out. And that's just kind of the way that this game goes. Everything is well thought out. This is such a fantastic game. There are, let's see, a few more little minis in here that I haven't pulled out. And then you have your dice. Really nice kind of chunky dice there that you will be rolling. But yeah, this game is super fun. I wish that there was an expansion for this game that maybe added one little layer of complexity for people who are more seasoned into hobby games. Maybe a layer that added some different abilities for the items that you had, or maybe a layer that just added a little bit, maybe some stats or just a little something extra. The game does not need it at all. However, it is not a game that I enjoy playing solo. You know, when I'm thinking of playing a game, I hardly ever think of pulling out Horrified for myself. And if it had some kind of a little layer extra that you could add onto it that just gave the game a little more sense of adventure, a little more sense of complexity, I would play the game solo a lot more. For me, this is a game that if I'm having family over, if I'm having friends and they're not, they haven't played a lot of hobby board games, and maybe they're interested, then this is the game that I would definitely turn to for that kind of experience. And for that experience, it is perfect. I cannot imagine a better game for that exact situation. So if you're looking for something like that and you haven't yet looked into Horrified, I do highly recommend it. I know there's another version that has some like more modern monsters. I haven't seen that one yet. I only have this first version here. But yeah, so anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at Horrified, a perfect gateway game, a perfect game to introduce people into the world of hobby gaming. And it is a perfectly themed game for this Halloween season. So all right, guys, well, take it easy. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.